Cool. So I'm recording the session as well. So what I've done is I have done analysis on all the pairs, and all I've done is I've just simply separated the pairs. So all the pairs that we're looking to sell are they're purple, obviously. So I've created a purple list. All the pairs that we're looking to buy over the course of next week, they're cyan. So we've created a cyan list. So all we're going to do is just go through the pairs on each list. Obviously, every pair that's on this list, we've got a bearish higher time frame directional bias on over the course of next week and opposite to the other list. So otherwise, let's just get started with some, with some AJ. So on AJ, higher time frame, maybe you could consider this to be some weekly structure, but nonetheless, higher time frame, we've been inside some sort of an ascending structure. First touch, second touch, and then obviously at the third touch, we've got some new ascending structure. So obviously this is now what's giving us indication on nature of what's going on here. Yes, we're in an ascending structure. We see more deceleration over there. Nonetheless, what we want to do is we want to come to just the most recent time frame, or just the most recent structure, my mistake. So otherwise, just most recent structure, it's very weird using a square screen. I got some other new monitor now, and this new monitor screen is square. So it's just weird for me to analyze on a square screen. But otherwise, cool. We've got an ascending structure, I guess. Ascending structure, we obviously see price action breaking to the downside. We didn't really see momentum in all of this price action until we've broke these lows, or at least we only saw momentum breaking this low over here, whatever support we had over there. This is the only time we actually see momentum coming into the market. All this time, we broke the ascending structure, but we're only seeing the momentum here. So what I want to do is I want to be safe. Yes, we can see that we're inside some heavy chop. Things are not clear higher time frame on AJ, but what we do have is we have a source of momentum that's been able to break structure, and we've also got the context of this higher time frame ascending structure, which we expect to break to the downside. We've also got context of this daily ascending structure, which obviously signifies some deceleration. So we've got, I guess, just technicals that are giving us indication that, okay, cool, maybe we should be expecting sellers to come into the market, but we can see that this price action is not showing that someone is aggressively selling AJ, or at least the way that we want to see AJ, or at least the way we want to see price action, so we can look for those nice impulses and clear corrective structure. That's the nice trading opportunity, not all this nonsense over here. But nonetheless, we've got a directional bias based off our high time frame structure, and on a daily, obviously, we want to be sell biased. Now going down to a 4-hour, what we've done is you guys can see there's also a daily bearish engulfing there, so nice momentum shift. All I've done is on a 4-hour, I've asked myself one simple question. I want to sell. Where have I seen other sellers aggressively selling AJ? That's just before price action broke this support over here. So naturally, so where do I want to sell? I want to sell inside of this POI. So all I'm going to be doing for the course of next week is just waiting for price action to break this low over here. And then obviously, once we violate this low, simple enough, we're waiting for our reversal structure to form somewhere inside of this area here. Any structure that terminates inside of here is a reason for us to jump in direction of obviously our high time frame directional bias. So in AJ, we're 100% sell bias. There's our point of interest, high time frame explained. Let's go on to the next pair. So next pair is we're going to look at AU. So AU, let's just go up to a higher time frame, or do you guys want to see the list again just for reference? So AU, next pair that we're going to be looking at is Euro Swiss franc. So just for reference, so we know where we're going to from here. So still in alphabetical order. I like, and maybe it could even be a tip that I've never ever heard or given before. That when you're setting your pairs, just set them in alphabetical order. That way you can like create a clear mental map of what you're doing. You know where your pairs, even the list of 8 pairs that I trade, my set list of pairs, the way that I train myself to keep track of every single one, all of those pairs, is to just memorize them in alphabetical order to know, okay, this is AUD CAD, AUD Swiss franc, AJ, AU, Swiss yen, New Zealand dollar CAD, New Zealand dollar, just because they're in alphabetical order. And then I can also keep track of prices. Which ones are important to me? What am I looking to do where? Just in my mind, just because I've put them on my chart in a way that's easy for me to understand that information. But otherwise, let's get into some AU. So AU is a little bit hectic. So let's just explain higher time frame structure. So what we're looking at now is just as good as us looking at weekly structure, since we can't see the individual candlesticks. If you guys remember, whenever we're looking at a chart, if you can't see one candlestick from another candlestick and it says daily, no, you're not looking at daily structure, you're looking at a time frame just above that structure. Once you can see each individual candlestick and tell them apart, then you are looking at structure that is relevant to the daily time frame. Just so that we know and understand and not say this is daily structure. Otherwise, higher time frame, yes, we've got momentum over here. We've got a nice corrective structure. And you guys can see inside of this corrective structure, I'm going to consider this nonsense over here to be a manipulation out of my structure, just to later break back into structure and maybe continue to the upside. So that is my higher time frame context of what's going on here. I still want to trade in the direction of the momentum that I see clear in front of my face. Only issue is that if I look at this structure over here on a daily, just now, this is the most recent daily structure. We've spoken about what is the context from a weekly perspective. Now on a daily perspective, all I see is low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So clearly AU is in a seller's market. And as long as we are below this resistance, which is the last source of supply before price action was able to break a support, as long as price action stays below this resistance, this is still a seller's market, no matter how we want to chop up weekly structure, whatever the case is. Daily structure, we're still inside a seller's market. Otherwise, I want the only reason why I'm giving us both of these perspectives is because I want us to have clear ideas on how, basically, let's just get overall context as to what's going on so that we can better manage risk. Only point of why we're expanding so much. Otherwise, getting into just the most recent structure. Just the most recent structure, already we spoke about this momentum. Obviously, we see sellers being in control here, extreme resistance, extreme support. We're inside of here. Obviously, we're still inside a seller's market. Nonetheless, we could also be in a buyer's market. Why? Because we've broken back inside of this structure. If we extend this trend line over here, as long as we're inside of this structure, this could still be a buyer's market and we could still continue to the upside. So now you guys can see that we're adding context to what's going on here, and we're still keeping in mind what the structures are doing on different time frames. Cool. Now let's talk about this nonsense over here. So last week we spoke about this resistance area over here. The reason why this was an important resistance to us is because we see a bearish engulfing here. It's a source of momentum, lower lows, lower close. We know someone decided to aggressively sell inside of here. Obviously, we had the context of this structure over here. We were looking at the reason why we were selling last week was because of this smaller ascending structure. But nonetheless, structures changed. We're accommodating for this new low that we can see obviously just broke below here and we broke back above. So obviously we can see prices still doing something corrective. So we're accommodating for this entire corrective structure. Accommodating for this entire corrective structure, what we can see is there's a resistance up here. This is support. If I want to be a seller, where do I want to sell? I want to sell at resistance. All and well be it, maybe price action might break above this resistance that we were expecting price action not to break above, but that does not mean that I'm going to change my bias and be a buyer, because I can clearly see that there is a corrective structure. I am still inside of a corrective structure. And when I'm inside of a corrective structure, I can trade up or I can trade down. It doesn't matter. What's going to guide me inside of a corrective structure are the different chart patterns that develop. If I see a double bottom inside a corrective structure, isn't that giving me a directional bias in a market that has no direction because it's a corrective structure? That's the context that we're going to be adding. So what I'm saying is that for AU, I'm 100% sell bias. You guys can see that we're at resistance now, but there's a ton of buyers on a daily time frame. So that's going to tell me that maybe I should be looking to sell. Yes, maybe I'm still going to be looking to sell, but maybe not right now, not inside all of these buyers that are just jumping into the market because of the NFP or whatever news. Nonetheless, let's just go down to a 4-hour, talk about the structure and the setup, and we'll conclude. You guys can see I've got a POI there. All I did for myself is I asked myself, if price action does choose to break above this resistance, where is the next source of momentum? I can see there's a nice bearish engulfing. Okay, let me just move my chart like this so you guys can see it. Remember that we use our 4-hour for those points of interest. So I see bearish engulfing, a lot of sellers coming into the market. The market didn't come back to this area there. So obviously I can look to want to sell if market does come back in the future. I can also see that that point of interest kind of aligns with this resistance trend line. If market maybe impulses up or whatever, I don't know, but it still functions as a point of interest, still functions as an area where I'm looking to sell. The setup that we're looking for is I can't find any structure inside of here anymore to be looking to trade. There's too many buyers. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense for us to be a buyer inside of this. But with our context, I'm going to still be a seller. I'm not going to be a buyer. I'm not going to change my AU bias at this point in time. All I'm going to do is just exercise patience, wait for price action to come up here. And whatever structure that terminates here, all I'm looking for is a structure that gives me a reason to sell, be it an ascending structure, be it a double top, be it a head and shoulders. I don't care, as long as it's a sign to sell, and that sign to sell happens where I want to sell, I'm going to sell. So that's AU. AU, I'm 100% bearish bias. All I'm waiting for is just for the structure to complete, come to the POI, and then obviously give me a reason to jump into the market. Let's go on to Euro Swiss franc. Maybe let's just be a little bit quicker there, because I wasted some time at the beginning of this session. So Euro Swiss franc, I was going to do this analysis last week. This analysis was actually supposed to be done last week on this pair, but last week, load shedding and whatever had me, we didn't end up doing analysis. See, Paris is giving a heart there. Always, bro. I just noticed it now. But otherwise, so basically, Euro Swiss franc is inside some chop, but we can still make sense of this chop. Making sense of this chop, what I'm going to do is just pay attention to the most recent price action. Most recent price action, what I see is market has been coming obviously from the top. Yes, we've been coming from the top, nice and impulsive, but obviously we can see that market decided to end up decelerating over here. We can see some sort of a structure, we decelerated, then we had momentum breaking the structure. So obviously I have deceleration, momentum breaking the structure. Maybe I want to be looking for some sort of a corrective structure to find continuation of this smaller structure that we just see the momentum breaking out of. But obviously I can see here that price action doesn't look like it's correcting to the downside. It looks like it's correcting to the upside. So decelerating towards the upside. So yes, maybe I want to be a buyer because of this momentum here. As long as we're inside of this momentum here, there's a buyer's market here. We managed to break a level of structure over there. Everything just makes sense. If we talk about technicals, yes, I want to be a buyer, but the structure here is not really warranting me to buy, not really warranting me to do that. Nonetheless, let's just go down to a 4-hour. On a 4-hour, just looking at the most recent structure, come on now, load. I don't know why my network is a bit slow, but otherwise we'll power through. Most recent structure, yes, I know, okay, maybe I want to be a buyer, trade in direction of this momentum here. But what do I see on a 4-hour? On a 4-hour, what I see here is I see momentum that is able to violate the level of structure. And as long as we're inside of this impulse, this is an impulsive move, right? After I see this momentum, I know sellers came in here aggressively. After I see sellers coming in aggressively, I see who? Buyers coming into the market. But are these buyers aggressive? How long did it take price to move from 9, whatever this price is, from here to here? It took, I don't know how long, but it took very long for price to move back up. So I know that someone aggressively sold most recent momentum and someone's not really buying at the current moment in time. So obviously all I was doing was just trying to find a POI. Price did come here last week, but we didn't tap this POI. We came very close. So the reason why I decided to just leave this on the watch list is because I still feel like this is still a valid setup. All this resistance does is that this resistance just adds more liquidity to this whole mix. And even if we don't get a setup over here, all we can do is just wait for price action. Price action can come to this resistance. But nonetheless, if we break above here, then it makes our job a little bit simple because we have a level of structure here. We have this resistance that price gave us as some liquidity or whatever. It's just a swing high. Nonetheless, what we can do to make things simple, if we don't find our sniper inside of there, whatever the case is, all we do, if price action breaks above, we wait for our setup. If price breaks back below, we wait for that retest and continuation. Simple, reduced risk entry. So I still feel like this pair can still play out. That's why I left it on the watch list. So let's still watch it there. Our POI is still valid for that's whatever, for that nice tight trade that we might be looking to take. Otherwise, let's go on to the next pair. USD CAD. USD CAD was also on here for last week, but a lot has changed. I wonder if we should still keep it here. Maybe we should just remove it. But when I was looking at this market last week, last week, all this nonsense here was non-existent. So last week, this is kind of all that there was. There was this nice ascending structure there. And things were all nice and rosy, very clear, nice POI momentum shift. All we were waiting for was just price was even correcting here, gave us equal highs. Things were nice in English. All we're waiting for was tap in and then we sell. But yeah, price just decided to continue to move sideways. Obviously, yes, breaking lows, but doing so in a corrective manner. What that did is that just introduced a whole new level of complexity to what is going on inside of or on this pair over here, because maybe let's just reference higher time frame structure. Higher time frame structure, maybe I want to be a buyer. Otherwise, here on a 4-hour, I can see there's a clear reversal, clear downside momentum. So obviously I have got a POI there. So if I want to be a buyer, where can I buy down low? I can buy down low over there. Reason why I'm not going to be a buyer inside of here is because I have a clear dead ass reversal structure. That's a head and shoulder structure over there. That is momentum. This is an impulsive move, giving me an indication that, oh, this is some sellers showing their face over here. That's sellers. And as long as maybe I'm inside of this impulsive move, and as long as maybe I have a corrective structure moving to the upside, maybe I can still try and find momentum to the downside. So now that we're correcting over here, and obviously we have this momentum over here giving us, obviously, as long as we're inside of here, this could be a buyer's market or whatever. It just introduced a whole lot of complexity to the situation. But what I want to do to simplify things is, since we've got a support over here, and we've got a resistance over here, and we've got a support over here, and we've got a resistance over here, obviously, if I'm confused, if ever I'm confused and I feel like I can't find the direction, my conclusion would be that this market is moving sideways. If a market is moving sideways and it has no direction, the safest thing for me to do is just trade the extreme highs or the extreme lows. So all I'm going to do maybe on USD CAD is we either wait for that setup up top for a sell or for a buy. If we can't buy down low, let's wait for the overall setup. I don't know what's cooking here on USD CAD, but I was looking at maybe a high time frame, something like this. I don't know. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. But otherwise, let's just trade the extreme high and the extreme low over here. We'll try and sell up here if price does come back. If it doesn't, then let's just leave it alone and not try and trade inside of all of this chop. I don't like the momentum that's going on inside of here. And I was hoping for a nice clean trade. The fact that it's not clean, maybe it's good that we didn't get an entry into this because already this is not the environment that I want to trade. I want to trade a corrective structure in preparation for the next momentum. So if I was maybe if I was expecting this to be a corrective structure and I traded here, did I find the next momentum? No, I'm still in a corrective structure. So maybe it's good that we didn't find an entry. Otherwise, not our environment. If price doesn't want to give us an entry, it's cool. We'll just leave USD CAD. Maybe let's just take USD CAD off for next week. Looking at this pair again, I feel like now it's just too much for us to have. It's not worth it trading inside of this chop. Otherwise, let's look at gold. So gold was also supposed to be done last week, but we didn't have a session last week. Cool. So yeah, gold is going to be interesting. Gold is going to be interesting for this year. Mind you, when I do start to trade gold, I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna start like a beginner, because I stopped trading gold. Stopped trading gold a long time ago because of some reasons, and ever since then I just felt like, okay, cool, it's just not my thing. But now obviously I'm trading technicals. If the technicals align, then why am I not there? So all I'm gonna do is just fight my own psychological battles with gold, start risking small so that I can get my confidence up. But nonetheless, I'm starting to trade gold again, guys. So context on gold. I'm just looking at where we are in this overall context. I do understand whatever's going on there, correction, momentum to the upside, whatever. I want to trade in the direction of this momentum that broke this descending structure here. But price is maybe not giving me the correction that I want to look for to get into this break of structure over here. It's not giving me this correction over here. Nonetheless, it's correcting to the upside. So I'm taking into account context. I see an ascending structure. Where's this ascending structure going to? This ascending structure is going to some level of resistance. Do I have an engulfing? Yes, I have a daily lower low, lower close. Nice bearish engulfing. It's at a resistance that managed to break a level of structure, obviously. So I know someone sold there. So the closer I come to resistance, the less I want to be a buyer, the more I want to be a seller. So just taking into account context, and that's just about all I'm doing. So obviously on a 4-hour, all I did was went to go and pinpoint where's that engulfing, find a POI. All I'm doing now, so I obviously isolated this ascending structure. We can see price action broke this ascending structure and we broke back below. So what this means for me on gold, fact that we broke this resistance trend line, right? We broke up, we broke back down. that is showing me that price is not being impulsive or whatever the case is. Price is being corrective around a level, which is my resistance trend line. So if price is being corrective around my resistance trend line, automatically my mind is searching for a corrective structure in this area because I'm already getting corrective nature. Otherwise, that being said on gold, this is a POI. Things are very uncomfortable. I must say, NFP made things very uncomfortable with this momentum to the upside or whatever the case is. But things still stand. Structure can always just change. You might find out that this momentum here turns into some sort of an ascending structure and completes the overall. I don't know. But anything can happen in the market. So this is our POI. If obviously we get an entry that does terminate inside of there on a smaller time frame, definitely still going to be looking to sell gold and obviously looking for price action to break back into this ascending structure and obviously follow through on the setup. So that's gold for me. I'm hoping that this is just a manipulation to the upside of this ascending structure and we end up just playing out of this. The setup just plays out. Let's go into some USD there. Let me check. Let me follow the chats. Let's see what's going on. Okay, cool. Let's do the things to be done. Cool. So on USD, maybe let's just stick to the most recent price action because I think the way we've been following structure and making sense, I don't think is really relevant anymore. I feel like we're in a different environment. Maybe the environment is not following the same rules as we've been following. The environment is maybe playing to a different set of rules. And the best way we can be efficient in this is to trade the most recent price action because the most recent price action is happening in this environment that we want to get used to and that we want to trade. So what I've just decided to do is just follow the most recent price action and make my decisions based off that. So anyway, just context as to where we are within the overall structure. Yes, price action maybe was moving to the downside, whatever the case is. Looking at where we are, there's resistance, right? This resistance was the cause or managed to break a level of structure there. So someone sold there. Otherwise, context, I see price action obviously coming back to this resistance area. Yes, there's momentum in this market. This momentum was able to break this, as much as we didn't break nice momentum, whatever, we did create a new higher high. So that is context that, okay, whoever came in from here is more than whoever sold from up here because these buyers were able to break above this resistance. So I've got that context and on a higher time frame. Coming to the most recent price action, we've got to pay attention to how price was doing whatever it was doing. Now, yes, we've got a sense that, okay, this might be a buyer's market or whatever the case is, but price action obviously decelerated as we came towards this resistance by giving us this ascending structure, this corrective ascending structure. We expanded. Nonetheless, we've got someone that decided that, okay, they're interested in selling USD for whatever reason at this daily support. After what? After we saw a whole bunch of buyers that ended up doing what? That ended up slowing down their buying momentum where we saw other people selling USD previously in the past. So I'm just taking into context what I see on the chart and where I am and how is price responding to whatever technical analysis I use to make sense of this information. Cool. So just coming into the most recent price action now, we spoke about this momentum here. So obviously we had this ascending structure. Price action broke the ascending structure to the downside, giving us obviously this nice momentum shift there. I want to trade maybe in the direction of this momentum that I see going on here. So obviously USD is the only pair that we do drop down below a 4 hour just because it's helpful sometimes, but nonetheless, even if we stay here, things still make perfect sense. But this resistance here is a lot more cleaner. The reason why we used it is will make a lot more sense on a 1 hour, but cool, you can still see it there. But otherwise, we've got momentum, right? We've got a bearish engulfing that I see over here and another bearish engulfing that I see over here, right? Obviously, I know this bearish engulfing over here was able to break. Okay, maybe let's just go. Remember, there's a 4 hour bearish engulfing over here that we're talking about because I want to go down onto the 1 hour to explain what I'm talking about properly. Just explaining the 4 hour before we go down to a 1 hour, this bearish engulfing was able to break this support over here. So we don't know, maybe those sellers came in at this big spike, this big bearish engulfing. Maybe those sellers came in at this resistance. Maybe those sellers came in there. But what I do know is that this is the last evidence of people selling US30 that were able, or the volume that sold US30 from here was able to break this support, or whatever the case is, or whoever bought here that was able to break this resistance, whoever sold from here, they were more. Cool. Now let's just go down to 1 hour just so that I can explain to you. I wanted to explain that there are two levels of structure that whoever sold here, the reason why I want to trade here is because these sellers didn't just break this major support, but yes, maybe someone sold from here, but obviously after this news or whatever, I don't know what was the cause of this, but a lot of them, after this momentum happened, someone decided to buy from here as well. Whoever re-entered the market from here was even more than this rejection or whatever they had, whatever happened after this news or whatever the case is. So that's why maybe I'd feel like this is a nice safe area for us to trade. I see the momentum shift on a 4 hour. There's no reason why, if there's a setup that presents itself in that area, why wouldn't I trade it? I'm in a seller's market. I have that impulse. I see this corrective structure after I see an impulse. Where am I? I'm at some sort of a daily resistance. After I've seen price action slowing down as we approach this resistance, I see evidence of sellers as I'm at a daily resistance. Why not sell US30? Cool. So with all that context, all I'm going to do, yes, we've broken above this resistance here. Yes, we can be buyers, but just for context, the closer I get to this resistance, the more I want to be a seller, the more I'm going to be looking for sell buy setups, obviously, to trade in the direction of these sellers over here, in the direction of this momentum. If I drop down onto a 1 hour, that does not mean that I cannot buy US30, because if US30 does not tap there and we get some sort of a corrective structure, obviously I can still buy in anticipation that my overall higher time frame setup will play out. Cool. Otherwise, sell bias on US30. That's the setup that I'm looking for. Let's just be a little bit quick. Last three pairs, guys. These are the pairs that we're going to be bullish on over the course of next week. GU was also supposed to be done last week. But yeah, when I was looking at GU during the week, maybe it was good that we didn't do it, because there was a setup that I know I would have taken a nice L on that setup. I saw an entry on GU. But oh, this is GBPNZD, but GU is after this pair. So anyway, let's just do GN before we go into GU. So GN, things are kind of simple, but a little bit complicated. Anyway, GU is moving sideways. Higher time frame, it makes absolutely no sense. So we're going to obviously just take into account most recent price action. Most recent price action, I've got a level of structure over there. That price action is broken below, broken back above. Within this, I have momentum over here. So I've got this being able to break a whole bunch of levels of structure over there, whatever the case is. After I see all of this momentum, yes, I have sellers coming into the market, but then what do I see? I see these sellers, obviously price action is in a corrective structure. We're correcting to the downside. Is this a sign of momentum to the downside? No, it's a sign that price is slowing down. Yes, maybe it can turn into a running channel and then just explode or whatever the case is. But still, price is slowing down here. Nonetheless, where are we context? We're coming towards this level of structure that obviously we broke below and broke back above. Price can come back at a future date in time and obviously retest. So all I'm going to do is on a 4 hour, we've got a nice simple structure. First touch, second touch. All I'm doing is just waiting for a nice touch of structure. I don't have a POI here on a 4 hour that I can look at for some nice context. So all I'm going to be doing, and as well as things are very choppy on this pair, and I feel like GBPNZD to me feels like AUDNZD. AUDNZD can take forever to move 5 pips. You can 4 hour candlestick can literally move five pips on GBPNZD. So I feel like because these pairs are maybe crosses of majors, pound and New Zealand dollar, maybe it's going to be the same as AUD and New Zealand dollar. So because of that, all I'm going to do is just take it slow. No points of interest. What I'm doing is I'm waiting for structure to give me reasons to buy. I have a third touch that I'm waiting for. When price gets to my third touch, do I have a descending structure? Do I have a double bottom? Do I have something that gives me a trading opportunity at my third touch? And that's obviously going to be a trigger for me to try and trade long. So GBPNZD is kind of simple but complicated. We needed a pair to buy, guys. There's too much pairs that we're selling. There's too many sell setups. There's too many sell buy setups. So otherwise, in terms of my majors, in terms of my majors specifically because me, I'm looking at AU. I trade AU. AU, I've got a sell bias on AU. GU, I've got a bullish bias. So obviously this is going against, we're hedging obviously dollar strength or dollar weakness on these two pairs. For me, that's totally fine. If the probabilities present themselves on GU, because the structure does warrant itself for this type of a setup, we're going to do it. But otherwise, it was nice to look at a weekly, nice to see that hectic rejection there. But nonetheless, let's just look at what's going on here. So GU, I'm just going to cut things very short. How much time do we have? We've got 6 minutes left. I'm going to cut GU very short. We've got resistance here. This resistance, we are able to break below this support over here. But nonetheless, buyers coming into this market, buyers being able to break above this resistance, giving us a new higher high. So obviously we've got context that maybe there's someone that's willing to buy, and as long as maybe we're inside of this bullish thing here, we could be inside of some sort of a buyer's market. Context though, where am I? I'm at this resistance. I see a bunch of people coming into this market and obviously selling. Let's drop down into the 4 hour. After I see all of these sellers coming into the market, I know higher time frame context, I just saw a whole bunch of buyers breaking resistance. So I know someone is there, someone is willing to buy. Now I'm looking at the structure, trying to figure out in this market, taking into account context, where am I and what is price doing? Because what price is doing is obviously just reflecting people's decisions. That's all it is. The charts are the final representation of every institution you know and don't know, and every person you know and don't know that's trading. The chart is the final representation of all of their decisions. So all I'm seeing is what decisions are people making. And obviously I see, okay, cool, maybe buyers market, whatever the case is, sellers came in there, but obviously the sellers are slowing down. Now, taking into account context, support, whatever the case is, things develop nice for us, I guess, on a 4 hour because of NFP. Anyway, we've got a descending structure. We've got a whole bunch of buyers. We've got a level of structure that we've broken below and broken back above. So the safest place for me to look to buy GU, there is no 4 hour momentum shift. So all I can use is this level of structure as a point of interest. So obviously, if there is a corrective structure, if price does choose to come back to this area on a smaller time frame, this is where I want to be looking to find probabilities to enter into the GU long. I know there's a nice momentum shift inside here. There's it there. Nice, sexy, bullish engulfing, nice area of momentum shift. Where is that area of momentum shift? Where I see a level of structure, nice KRI on a 4 hour. So obviously that's where I want to trade GU if GU does decide to correct and give me an opportunity to buy. Let me explain to you another reason why I'm being so safe is I'm being so safe because I want to take calculated risks, right? I understand that we've been buying. I understand that maybe there is still a potential to buy. But if I look at where I'm buying at the end of everyone that was buying before. After all, someone has to take profits. And sometimes maybe market doesn't always move down because people are selling. Sometimes market moves down because buyers are exiting their long positions, which is a sell. So someone needs to, all this volume at some point in time needs to take profit. So I'm expecting maybe we'll get a bigger corrective structure that might come and retest this low and give us a nicer, higher time frame setup or whatever, something else on GU. Just let the dollar's going to be exciting this year. So let's just expect some spice on all these dollar pairs that we're trading. US30, Nasdaq, and all of these dollar pairs that included. There's going to be a lot of spice this year. Otherwise, we've got like 3 minutes left. Let's just finish off with Nasdaq. So I want you guys to notice that I am willing and only willing to add size and hold sell positions on US30. I am willing and only willing to add size and hold buy positions on Nasdaq. That doesn't mean that I can't buy US30. That doesn't mean that I can't sell Nasdaq, but my higher time frame biases are giving me an indication on how I am going to take risk. Cool. Context, descending structure. Where am I within this market? Because we've got like 3 minutes left. Where am I within this market? I'm at some sort of a support. I'm at an area where I see a whole lot of momentum. This momentum here was able to break this resistance here. So just context as to where I am within the structure, since things are a little bit complicated. I'm at a support. Cool. Going down onto a 4 hour, I know that I am at higher time frame support. Obviously, I see that price did some sort of nonsense over here. We expanded. I see sellers coming into the market. What do these sellers do, or what did these sellers do? They ended up decelerating. I see a corrective structure coming down towards where? Towards support. After I see that corrective structure, the deceleration of sellers, Oh, let me just remove that because it was going to just interrupt us. After I see that nice deceleration of sellers, obviously I know I'm in a corrective structure because I can see corrective nature inside of here. So I'm not surprised that maybe we're inside of some sort of a range. But what I see after I see deceleration is I finally see someone that's somewhere in the world that's willing to aggressively buy Nasdaq. Where am I on a 4 hour? 4 hour, I'm at resistance. So obviously, yes, I've got a bullish bias, but can I buy at resistance? No, only an idiot would do that. Or let me not say an idiot. Let me just say the T.Mayne that was trading 3 years ago would buy over here. The T.Mayne that's trading now understands that, okay, context, where am I? I'm at resistance. I can't buy here. Since I'm stuck inside of the range, the safest thing for me to do is look to trade the extremes. Since I want to be a buyer, where do I want to be a buyer? I want to be a buyer somewhere around support. So all I'm going to be doing, since I find momentum over here on Nasdaq, all I'm going to be doing is just waiting for a corrective structure to come into some sort of, or some area where I see a nice origin or nice momentum shift. I see a bullish engulfing here. I see another bullish engulfing over here. So obviously these function as areas where I can look for those upside continuation trades. So all I'm waiting for is just for that corrective structure. I know if I'm trading inside of the range, I've got slightly lower probabilities than if I'm trading down at the low of the range for the buy. Otherwise, Nasdaq, I'm 100% bullish, going against my US 30 bias, giving myself an opportunity to trade these things in both directions, whether the market is crashing, whether it was a false call or whatever the case is, I still want to make money. Otherwise, we're 100% done with the analysis. Let's go and discuss what we just spoke about in the groups, guys. Share your thoughts, share your biases, share your whatevers. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let's go and discuss, guys. Let there be peace in the streets. We'll meet each other, guys. Cheers.